Back with me now, Tara Setmayer from The Blaze, and also Van Jones here from CNN. So let's talk about Chris Christie. There's video. He's all over now talking about Ebola rather than talking about Bridgegate. Van Jones, is Chris Christie back?
Well, listen, the same kind of bullying and blustering that got him in trouble before, that made his staff think that it was okay to shut down bridges. Here you have it again. You have an American hero, a nurse who risked her life to stop Ebola there. She comes back. This guy, against all recommendations, creates his own instant quarantine and has now made nurses and doctors around the country terrified to go and stop this thing over there, which means he's actually making it more likely that Ebola will wind up here.
Oh,
if you were a true leader, he would stand up. He would say, "I want the nurses and the doctors of my state to come to me by the hundreds. We're going to send you over there. When you come back, we're going to make sure that you're in good shape, and we're going to beat that thing over there." Instead, he's grandstanding and making us less safe, and it's disgusting.
So, Van,
are you
going to levy that same level of criticism against Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York, who issued his quarantine? So you said the exact same thing to Cuomo? You think he was bullying and blustering, and he
walked it back. No, he walked it back, and he fixed it. But
after the White House was embarrassed.
Listen, I'm equal opportunity on this. Both Cuomo and Christie owe it to the country now to recruit doctors and nurses from their states and send them over there to fight Ebola there. That's the leadership move. If they had been leaning forward, they would understand what these workers are going through, and they would respect them when they came home. They've been, both of them, missing in action, and they are attacking American heroes. They should be ashamed of themselves.
All right.
Both of them.
I want to give this, Tara, I want to give this next subject, though, some time. I don't want to give it short shrift, okay? So
I just wanted to say one thing. Who's missing in action is our Ebola czar.
Okay,
so
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I didn't get to that question, but
he's working. He's not on TV with you. He's working.
In the last segment. So let's talk about Charles Barkley now. Tara, this is for you first. Here's what he said. He said, there are a lot of black people who are unintelligent, who don't have success. It's best to knock a successful black person down because they're intelligent, they speak well, they do well in school, and they are successful. He raised a lot of eyebrows this weekend when this audio came out from a radio interview. Here's the rest of some of what he said.
When you're black, you have to deal with so much crap in your life from other black people. It's a dirty, dark secret. I'm glad it's coming out. For some reason, we are brainwashed to think if you're not a thug or an idiot, you're not black enough. If you go to school, make good grades, speak intelligent, and don't break the law, you're not a good black person. And it's a dirty, dark secret, Anthony. Listen, I hate to bring white people into our crap, but as a black person, we all go through it when you're successful.
Okay, so...
Lord.
Tara, he was talking about an African-American quarterback, and he said that, now again, I don't even know if the reports are true. He was saying that about Russell Wilson. He's saying Russell Wilson, members of his team don't think he's black enough and they don't like him. I don't know. That's not our reporting, but he certainly caused a firestorm. What do you make of his comments?
Well, I mean, that's Charles Barkley. He's known to cause controversy and be very frank in his words. He definitely doesn't mince words. But, I mean, I may not have worded it the way he did, but I understand where he's coming from. I mean, the most racism I ever experienced in my life came from people in the black community from the time I was a little girl, because I was light-skinned, because I have light eyes, because I speak differently, because I'm educated. It was ridiculous. And if you go to my Twitter feed after the show, you're going to see all of the most disgusting, vile things predominantly coming from black folks. And I think that that's unfortunate. It's a sad commentary, and it's something that, Van may or may not disagree, but I can go based off of my own personal experiences, that is a very real thing. The crabs in the barrel aspect.
I see it differently, sis.
Well, the crabs in the barrel syndrome is definitely, it exists.
Okay.
There may be other parts of it that doesn't happen to everyone, but it exists. And I think Charles Barkley was brave in actually mentioning it. I understand where he's coming from with that. It's real.
Look, listen, I see it differently. Look, I don't think African Americans are unique in having some jealous, hateful people in the community. But I tell you, my experience is wherever I go, African Americans are proud that I have an Ivy League education, that I've done well. I get a lot of attaboys and a lot of you-goes from a lot of people, and you always have a few. But what I am concerned about are the people who overreact to the few and then spread stereotypes themselves about our community. The biggest obstacles in our community are not a few hateful crabs in the barrels. We have big obstacles like a prison system that's out of control, arresting way too many African Americans who do the same a level of crime as whites when it comes to drug crimes.
Van,
we have much bigger obstacles
than the crabs
in the barrel.
Here's what I think. I think you're absolutely right on that. But I also think that that is an entirely different subject. You can mention one thing and not have to mention the other all the time. You don't have to say, let me preface this by saying, I know there's racism. Of course we know there's racism. We live racism every day. So I think Tara has a point
but I just
in the
think he
sense, hold on.
overstated. I think he overstated.
I agree with you. But I think Tara has a sense in a point, to a point here, that you always have to preface it and say, okay, listen, I know there's racism, people, but let me just make this observation. Why should you be limited? Should you be limited as a person and as a professional by always having to give a caveat about something that is
I'm not talking about that
sense.
caveat. I may have misspoken, Don. Let me just say this. He said that the reason we won't be successful is because of other African Americans.
Well,
and I'm
Charles
saying
Barkley,
that's an overstatement. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he engaged in hyperbole, but again, that's just Charles Barkley, that's his personality. But I do think the crux of what he said, there is some validity to it. I've lived it. I live it every day. You know, as a minority female conservative, do you have any idea the names that I'm called from black folks? I mean, they call me every name in the book. I don't get that. I didn't have that experience on the other side.
And I'm sure you've seen, we've talked
Van.
about this. You've seen this. I'm sure you've seen my Twitter feed. You've seen the criticism. If I don't carry a certain narrative for which people think that African Americans or liberals, and I'm not a liberal and I'm not a conservative either, then I am all of a sudden Uncle Tom. I am a sellout. I am all of these things. And it's like, what are you talking about? And every single person, I was at brunch yesterday with all black people, about 10 black people, and everyone said he has a point. He said it wrong, but he is correct in his point. It's absolutely true, Van.
Well, let me say a couple of things. One, there is a party line in the black community politically. If you go against that, you will hit a bug zapper. That is true.
Yeah.
I happen to
Van,
think that's.
I'm going into the next hour. I'm going into the next hour, but I want to thank you both. This is a great conversation. I promise you we will continue it here on CNN. Thank you both. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right, so this Tylenol arthritis lasts 8 hours, but